Hey, so we have one of the moments here today that I look forward to since we started them a few months ago, and it's called Story Matters. And what it is one of our church, comes and shares what God is doing in their life, kind of a snapshot of what's going on, because God is always doing something new. We're going to be talking about that a short bit later. But I have with me a guy I've gotten to know and getting to know a lot better, and First of all, David Allen, thank you for being here with us this morning.
Happy to be here.
So, actually, I had the privilege of getting to marry you and your wife back in February. So this is
On leap day. Yeah.
leap year. Yeah. So, good news is for you, you got 3 years till the next anniversary present rolls around, right? Or
Yeah.
you don't get out of that.
I did the math on it. I don't think I have to worry about a diamond anniversary for 2 centuries. I don't plan on being here, so that's a win.
Okay. Cool. So no diamond anniversary for a long time.
That's right.
You're a lucky guy. So I want to take a quick second because y'all started attending True Life Church actually about a month-ish, give or take, prior to the whole shutdown, the COVID thing. And I actually just want to start with a question that's going to lead us into a different conversation here. But in your own words, why True Life Church?
My wife and I have been kind of shopping for a church, and we went to a number of different churches. We've gone for years. I've lived here all my life, so we've been going to a local church for a long time. But I think I can really distill it down to probably 2 things that kind of hooked us into this church. One of them's easier than the other. So the first one is there's truth in this book, and I'm really interested in getting into a lot of that deeper stuff. Like, I can read a passage in the book and I can tell you what it means to me now in May of 2020. But I also know that I'm not the only one who's, I wasn't the original audience. And so I want to know, what was it written for? How would the original audience have taken it? What does it mean in the correct language and things like that? And so one of the things is the teaching that we're getting. I come to church to get fed. What is it we're supposed to take from this? And then how do I apply that to my life? And so getting into some of those nitty-gritty things, the harder passages. So that comes from a leadership, from your perspective. That's top-down stuff. So that's probably the first one, is I really want to know what is in the book. We come here to be taught that. The second one, probably a little bit tougher, right?
Okay.
And that's authenticity. And I want to be in a church, I want to be a member of a church body where people can feel free to be authentic, their authentic selves. And my wife and I feel like this is where we found that. I read a book, and I'm going back through it again now. It's called The Cure. And right in the beginning of this book, it talks about 2 paths. Like, you come to a fork in the road at some point in your life, and there's the path of pleasing God, and then there's the path of trusting God. And at some point in your Christian life, in your walk, you're going to be confronted with this. And you're going to say, well, God did all these things for me. Jesus died on the cross. He takes care of me. He meets my needs, financial needs, spiritual needs, health needs. My obvious response to that should be that I will please God. And so you go down this path of pleasing God, and you reach this, it's a well-worn path, you reach this room of good intentions. And you go in there and you say, this is like my kind of people. I want to be in here with these people. Very quickly, though, you realize they're all wearing masks. And nobody
Even
really...
before COVID.
Right, before COVID masks. And they're wearing that mask under their COVID mask,
Right,
and they just aren't real people, and it's like they don't want to, they're fearful of what you're going to think of me. I'm a Christ follower. I should be a changed person, and because I'm a changed person, I should put on that show. And at some point, you're just like, you know what? I'm not okay. I've got problems of my own, and I want to be able to share those with people, and if I have to keep hiding them to put on this show, I don't want to be a part of that. So eventually you make your way back to this fork in the road, and you say, all right, well, I'm going to go try trusting God, even though it feels really like a cop-out. Like, all I'm doing is trusting God. And you end up there at this room of grace. And we as a church, and I'm not saying True Life, I'm saying the global church, many people in the church have forgotten grace. And grace has a name, and his name is Jesus Christ. And he's not sitting there going, wow, you got problems on that. Let me know when you fix that. Come and see me.
Yeah,
Let
you're
me know when you
messed
fix
up.
that. Come and see me.
Come talk to me later.
Yeah, it's not that way.
Right.
And I don't feel like I'm getting that here. I feel like this is, this church is such a good example of that room of grace where you can be real and we can be like, you know what? Life is messy. Let's get to work. And I can look at you and I can say, man, Josh is messed up. David is messed up. And we're messed up people. So what do we do with that? And that's why True Life, I think I speak for both my wife and I, that these are the big reasons why we chose this church. Is because we can be real here, we can be authentic, we can look at that big pile of crap and go, man, that is a lot of sin. What are we going to do about it now? Because Jesus is there with us, not looking at us going, let me know when you fix it.
Right. God, that's a powerful message, man. Maybe I don't even need to preach today. Wow. I mean, I know more of your story, and this is actually going to be one of at least of two, if not three times of you being on here. I just want to kind of break the ice a little bit because you're new to our church. Some people may not even had a chance to get to know you before we all right, we're going online only.
They may not want to after today.
Shutdown thing. No, man, you're a great guy. You have a powerful story of what God has done, is doing, and I believe will do in your life. And so this isn't the first or the last time that you're going to be on here. So I'm looking forward to that. What would your encouragement be today for the viewer who's watching online church and is struggling to feel connected during this COVID time frame?
Man, that's a tough one. I think probably the thing is a couple things. One, what you're feeling is real, right? What you're feeling is true. Let me take it to a smaller example. A lot of parents are now finding themselves at home trying to teach their children school.
Right.
I'm not a teacher.
What is this math?
I don't even understand what's going on here. And they're pulling their hair out, and they're getting this feeling of condemnation to themselves because of the way that they're feeling. You know what? Give yourself the permission to not be great at being a teacher.
Right.
You know, it's okay. This is a crazy time in our lives. We've never seen this in our lifetime. So just give yourself permission to feel the way you feel, and then find a new way. You know, Isaiah chapter 43, see, I'm doing a new thing. Behold, I'm doing a new thing.
Oh, you're cheating. You just looked at my sermon.
Is that what it is? This church is another example of I'm doing something different. You know, some of these many churches, and they're great. There's so many great Bible teaching churches in this community, but they're doing the same thing, and that's fine. But this church has said, you know what? Let's take out all the chairs because nobody's sitting in them anyway. Let's turn it in. We're sitting here in Studio B. Like, you guys can't see this online, but we're sitting in Studio B inside the place where there used to be rows of 5 or 6 chairs, and now we're doing a new thing. So be okay with a new thing that's going to come into your life, and find a new way to communicate. Reach out on Facebook. A bunch of my friends have been doing these Zoom meetings, and yeah, I'm sure that Zoom, fine, whatever, say what you want to say about it, but it's really cool when there's a dozen people sitting on an iPad on the coffee table, and we're able to have a chit-chat with people across the planet, because I'm not able to do that in normal places. So be okay with the stress. Find a new way to reach out and communicate with people. And if you need prayer, put it in the chat right down here at the bottom of this screen and request, because prayer changes things.
Amen. Dude, that's great. So it actually even circles back around to what you were talking about earlier, grace. Give yourself some grace, and give your husband, give your spouse some grace, because a lot of marriages are in a tough spot right now because they spent more time around each other in the last month than in the last year. And so give your spouse some grace, and all the grace that we are able to give out to someone else is only because of the grace that we've received from Christ Jesus. And God's grace is sufficient for you, it's sufficient for me, and it's sufficient for you. So take hold of that this week. Give yourself some grace. Receive God's grace. And David, man, thanks so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to having you join us again.
Can't wait to do it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.